make 2/4/6 taunts, it's gonna be quite hard for the Dragon Warrior.
Yeah, good point. That twin emperors, which definitely we haven't been seeing a lot of on in the meta really at all lately, really was a really good aggro stopper for a while there in Hearthstone.
Yeah, it was like the day one craft I think when Old Gods came out. It was like the card, but it looks like here Janiel misses on his three. Still gonna have a one drop to play. Still has a Twilight Guardian coming up, Cork Run Elite, things of that nature too.
Yeah, he's definitely got some gas. A little bit of a slower build with some more big minions with the Draconid Crusher and the Twilight Guardian than your average Pirate Warrior. So it'd be interesting to see how that may give him a little bit of a better shot against maybe something like the Twin Emperors because he might actually be able to push through, whereas Pirate Warrior might just pretty much lose to that automatically.
Yeah, maybe like Crusher comes out and it actually is a 9/9 at the point. So we see Mortal Strike in the list too. So this is pretty interesting. It's a bit more aggressive Mortal Strike. Usually you find in Dragon Warrior list takes out the Mortal Strike and things like that.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely not too common to see in Dragon Warrior. I agree, but I like his decision there to clear. Definitely clear that Cthulhu's chosen.
And Keesh here, you could just go with the 5 drop or you go two minions on board if you want to try to buff a Cthulhu a little bit into the turn 7. What do you think about this turn?
Um, well, it looks like he's going for the Druid of the Claw. Um, it's a tough call.
Oh, Black Queen off the top's pretty good
Yeah,
though.
Blackwing off the top is very solid. I mean, based on just him being at 14, I guess he really had to play the taunt there. However, it does seem pretty appealing to go for the Beckoner and the Cthulhu's Chosen or the 3 drop. Sorry,
Yeah,
Twilight Elder. It's been a while. Sorry, you don't see too much Twilight
it's
Elder on
it's been
ladder
it's
these
been
days.
quite a while for Cthulhu. And right here, oh man, so Danielle just gets the
That'll
damage off
just
the
do it.
top.
Throws the
Fire,
well played.
Fire Warx is gonna do it. Mortal Strike's gonna come down. He's gonna go 1-0 against Keesh, winning with this Dragon Warrior.
Those were some really good draws. Some nice top decks. And yeah, I'd say that type of a Dragon Warrior list probably pretty well positioned to definitely do some damage against Druids.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think we've seen that build sort of change a little bit. Some people would try doing like Finja Dragon Warrior and things like that. It's like a little water dragon. Now, Danielle still has his priest and his shaman. His warlock was banned. It's gonna be going against Keish's druid, warlock, and mage. What do you think about queuing up into next match for Danielle or Keish here?
Um, what is that priest?
Yeah, so we have a priest and shaman left for Danielle, and then Keish is gonna be on druid, warlock, and mage.
I mean, I would probably just queue the Shaman if it were me. But then again, we don't know what their lists are for sure. But whether it's Jade or Aggro Shaman, I'd probably just throw that out there. It looks like he went the other way with the priest. I mean, realistically, you're gonna have to get a win with both either way. I feel like well, this looks like
Looks like
maybe
Reno.
yeah, Reno
Yeah.
priest. So I can't say that I'm too familiar with what the
Oh, it's the Reno Shadow Form list. Interesting. So you can kind of do some crazy stuff at the end of the game. You drop the 5 drop and get your free hero power. Just keep using Shadow Form. Now it looks like it's going to be another Cthulhu deck possibly coming from Keish.
it does, yeah. Definitely can't say that these are 2 decks that I've seen much before, but I could definitely see why Joe would want to send out this priest deck as opposed to the shaman, like I said before, for the fact that, like you said, with the shadow form, maybe late game, if you're assuming your opponent's playing a Reno lock or Reno mage, maybe you can combo them down.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting. Reno Mage typically does a little bit better against Reno Lock than typical Dragon Priest will do.
Yeah,
The Reno Priest will do a little bit better just because they have a little bit more late game potential. And here, kind of curve out a little bit well. Now, Danielle goes for the Twilight into Powered Shield. I would like to see maybe the Drake come out or possibly even the other 4 drop there.
yeah, I think that makes sense as well. However, this does contest the board pretty well. It's not bad, but I think I agree. Probably, maybe the Priest of the Feast even might have been optimal there.
And what do you think about Biofin Tidehunter in the hand of Keech?
I mean, honestly, it is pretty funny, but I do kind of think it's an all right card. I
Hmm.
mean, maybe in the on Goro meta it could actually find a home. I mean, right now I would definitely say it's most likely not optimal, but I think it's a pretty good card in
I mean, hey,
general.
Danielle here got a perfect hole, but was able
Yeah,
to clear the entire board. We see Cthulhu coming to the hand here. Now, kind of interesting turn for Keys. Probably it's tap here and see what you get.
sending out the Bilefin Tidehunter. Really, the only thing keeping Bile from Tidehunter from being really awesome is just that the Ooze is not a Murloc. If that was a Murloc, I'd really say the card's great, especially with some of the Ungoro cards
But
coming out to give all your
Paladin,
Murlocs adapt.
especially, that's where you would play because you could, give it Divine Shield with the 3-drop and
Yeah,
everything. That was sort of a deck that was
that was a good
popping
synergy.
around for a little bit. I think Keesh might just have to, maybe go with a 6-drop here. You also, I think that's probably the best way to deal with this. Just get something on the board that can stick.
Yep.
Is it good now? All right, cool. Sorry about that, guys. All right, well, looks like getting back into this, Keesh gonna drop that Abyssal Enforcer and could go face, could clean up here. Doesn't have any amazing trades though.
Yeah, I mean, Skaram Cultist gonna just go into his minion.
Next champion Sarad's pretty nice here, possibly.
Can definitely go the value route and go Nexus Champ. We also, of course, see the Doom Guard there. So yeah, I mean, I mean, they're both
You could
getting
also
there on life.
dig with Cabal, maybe Northshire Cleric heal up. It's not you don't have any great trades, right?
That's very true.
What do you think though? I mean, maybe you could sort of outlast. You don't
I
think your
mean, you could
opponent's
shadow
playing
form and
Reno?
you could
Yeah.
shadow form and kill a 6/6 if you want.
Yeah.
Opposite just slam the Reno down there. I mean, it's straightforward. I could see maybe he wants to shadow form now, so he used the Reno.
You only need like one more attack, right? And if you have a read on your opponent's playing Cthulhu, you guys saw the Scarum Cultist, you
Yep.
may not think there's Reno or a lot of heals in that deck. And if you're surprised Doomguard right there, that could be really, really painful.
Yep. Looks like he's going for just the lethal out in terms of the face. I mean, I don't know if you can really determine whether or not they have a Reno. I would assume they probably running Reno Cthulhu,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, generally I do definitely like putting them in a spot where in this case, Keesh is facing lethal. He doesn't know it, but he has to play defensively or
And
he's
it has to be like
possibly gonna
Blast
die.
Crystal here or Twisting Nether.
Yeah.
So Hellfire will probably kill him.
Hellfire, yeah. Little does Keesh know, but
Yeah, that's gonna
that
be
that
it.
kills him. I mean, well, then again, how does he has Doomguard and Priest? Why does he even have that? Where
Discovering from the deck, right? So his Dragonoid Operative came down, discovered the
right.
Doomguard. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
pretty hard to play around, right?
It is. I mean, it's just very confusing game in general. Usually don't really see Doomguard in Reno Lock in general, let alone then it gets stolen by a Reno Priest and ends up being lethal. But definitely a unique situation there, and I think well played by.
Definitely. Danielle took that route. I really like it, being a little bit more aggressive, knowing that you have the burst, and possibly thinking, okay, there may not be a Reno in this deck. We've seen some Cthulhu cards. Going to this final game, he's gonna have his Shaman going against Druid, Warlock, and Mage. You think he's gonna be able to get one win with the Shaman?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's in a spot where you just got to find one win with the Shaman. Shouldn't be too hard to do. I could see why he would want to queue it in that order. You leave yourself 3 games to just win with what is still definitely one of the stronger decks in the meta, in my opinion, Shaman.
It's also a deck that we saw, at South by Southwest, though. I mean, and PAX that sometimes it can just draw dead. Shaman can really get to slow starts, and if you don't get the Jades pumping fast enough, it can be quite hard to come back.
Yeah, there's definitely some dead hands, but at the same time, with these Jade mid-range decks, sometimes even if you get those really dead hands, you can end up just kind of playing it almost like a Jade Druid would, bringing out just constantly ramping out as many Jades as possible, ramp it up, and then sometimes the Reno decks have a little bit of trouble, problems consistently dealing with those large boards. But yeah, it can absolutely leave you high and dry. Sometimes you grab 2 Lightning Storms in your opening hand, and no Tunnel Trog, no Totem Golem, and you're looking at a really slow
Nothing
start.
to play sometimes,
Yeah,
right? Looks like here though, both players out to a pretty decent start have early things to play. Looks like Keesh could go Cobalt Courier, could also go in-game boss.
yeah, I think I would have liked the Imp Gang boss there. I mean, you definitely get the additional information here with the Courier, but Imp Gang is just really, really good against, I would say, Jowah's board right now.
Definitely. And Danielle's curving out pretty well here. You can start going for Jades. You can also go for Thing from Below. You can decide to go for the Thing from Below. and maybe yeah, hit face. Don't really have an amazing trade there either.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. I like that play actually when I really think about it more because obviously Thing from Below's got taunt, gets in the way, protects or seemingly protects the
Hmm.
totem golem there.
So we just have a snap Hellfire right there. Clear the board. Keesh wants to sort of reset. I think here it's gonna be interesting because a lot of these decks, both of these decks, they can play the value game. But who do you think can play the value game a little bit better? Shaman sometimes can just keep hitting the hero power, and
Yeah.
especially these Jades can be able to get a ton of pressure on the board.
Yeah, I mean Shaman's definitely got a lot of Jade, which should be very, very hard for the Reno Lock to deal with. We do see the Twisting Nether in hand, and we know this is a Cthulhu. So yeah, I'd probably be leaning towards the Shaman in this one, to be honest, just based on the consistent pressure that they're able to apply.
Yeah, not able to get rid of the mana tide totem, so no answer to that. Oh, Danielle at the top gets a Jade Lightning too,
Very,
so
very nice.
this is gonna
Yeah,
be a good turn right here.
absolutely.
The Twilight Elder is another one that can really cause a lot of havoc, both these minions on the board. So that was just kind of the perfect draw right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, could have just developed a Thing from Below. Would have still been pretty good, but yeah, taking care of um, that Elder cleanly and while developing the Jade count as well, just perfect draw. Absolutely.
We also see Dark Iron Dwarf making an appearance in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, 2014 to 2017, he's been a mainstay in Warlock. One of the cards that has definitely stood the test of time. You see cards like Chillwind Yeti completely fall out of any level of use, but Dark Iron Dwarf, I guess people really figured out one health is not as good as his ability.
Yeah, maybe like when Zoo does come back, Disco Lock, like with some new stuff,
Yeah,
Dark Iron Dwarf can really be strong in there too.
yeah,
Now we're kind of coming up. This is sort of the position like Keesh is gonna have to figure out when's the best time to play Twisting Nether, right? Because
exactly.
this isn't even necessarily a board that's absurdly threatening, but it's starting to look like it's piling up, right?
Absolutely, and I mean, generally when you're facing these type of shaman decks, at least I know I always have Bloodlust in the back of my mind a little bit. So whether or not you're gonna play around the potential bloodlust or just let them hit you in the face a little more. Looks like, Key's taking the defensive route. I mean, he did get kind of smorked down last game by a surprise Doom Guard, so maybe he's feeling a little defensive now.
Yeah, that would have been lethal right from the bat. So sometimes you do have to play around that possible bloodlust. But look at this, Daniel again, right off the top, just able to reload with these J golems.
Yeah, like that's the problem with this matchup. A lot of the time, uh, we saw Keish had the Hellfire and the Twisting Nether this game, just still not able to stop the just consistent Jades coming down, and it wasn't even really the most insane Jade development up until right now with this brand. Now it's really
Yeah,
getting out of control, but up until then it was fairly reasonable. But still, the board wipes just a lot of times fall short.
and so we do know now that there is a Reno in the deck, so there's a Reno
Right.
Cthulhu mix there. Now the thing is, can he get rid of the brand here though? So J Chieftain's gonna come down the following turn as well, and two more J golems gonna be 6 and a 7/7.
Yeah, Keisha's is definitely between a rock and a hard place here. When you get multiple brand activations on Jade, I mean,
Hey, I think we could push damage if we want to here too, right?
yeah, he certainly could. Looks like he's going for the half and half line. It makes sense.
I mean, even this post Reno, you still have, you know, 28 damage on board, so
Yeah.
it's still gonna be lethal post Reno. This is what really happens with Shaman in this matchup. Fellfire Potion is not a card a lot of people run, so they don't necessarily have all the best clears. And that Twisting there is probably the most important card in the whole thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only thing left that would be able to do anything was, if he found a Shadow Flame, but which in this particular case would still leave the 7/7 up. So even with the PO Shadow Flame,
So we don't have it just yet. He was able to use the PO and take out the 6/6 there at the 2/1. Now, but I mean, we're just getting
that
very
another
close.
nice top deck there for
Yeah, it gets to draw two cards off the Azure Drake because of
wow.
Brand still on the board. Aya even in hand now. This one is pretty close to over.
Oh, I'd say yeah. This one is definitely in the bag. I may have even tossed out the not that it matters. Might have I probably would have just used the Lightning Storm there.
You
Um,
can get two Jades from the battle cry from J Claws.
yeah, it looks like Jowah wanted to clear off his board a little bit to make room for more Jades, which definitely makes sense. I may have Lightning Storm there just because it seems so tempting with the
Hmm.
Blood Mage Thalnos and the Drake out. It's just a double spell damage Lightning Storm. But definitely no complaints about this line at all. Looks like it's sealed up.
Yeah, Twin Elbow Velker a little bit late to this party. Lightning Storm, Jade Lightning, all the tools in the world here for Danielle to take this series with a quick 3-0.
Yeah, very impressive.
That's gonna be it. I mean, you know what? We saw just playing a little bit more modern sort of decks. We did see the Reno Priest and the Dragon Warrior there, but when you're playing against Cthulhu decks, these decks are really tailored to put on a lot of pressure very early. And we saw right there the Shaman was just able to even outvalue the deck.
Absolutely, yeah, very true. Those Cthulhu decks probably better suited against control decks, if anything.
Yeah, so that's our first match. We'll be right back with you guys. Going to get into a second game pretty soon. And I don't know, that was a pretty good opener though, man. I mean, I think
Yeah,
looking at the matchup, I don't necessarily think Keesh made, any plays that were like really bad,
yeah.
right? But obviously bad. I mean, there's some key concerns like not playing the in-game boss here and there. But
Mhm.
you know what? Those Cthulhu decks, they can't really stand up to some of the decks right now.
Absolutely, I agree. There was no glaring misplays or anything like that. It was probably just more of a deck selection thing in that sense, and the way that the matchups lined up. I agree.
Yeah. So Danielle's moving on to the next round. Congrats to him. Local player right here. And it looks like we're just gonna take a short break. We'll be right back in just a second,